Bucky's written about 30 some, how many books? 40 books. And they're great books to study, but very tough to read. As a matter of fact, whenever we would read them, we'd always read them as a group. We still do this. We still study that stuff. But if you want to understand Bucky Fuller, who he is, and get the essence of who it is, what's the name of your book? Buckminster Fuller's Universe. Probably one of the best books to understand the works and the thinking of a person that has shaped the lives of literally hundreds of millions of people on planet Earth. So it's Lloyd's book. If you have any questions about Bucky, ask him. He's the expert. Give him a hand, please. That was one thing. Another person came up to me and said, I've got to give a presentation in a couple of weeks to raise capital to some venture capitalists. I need to get right down to it. We're going to get that right down to it. Okay? But before that, are there any other questions before we begin? Lloyd Seiden. S-E-I? Close. S-I-E-D-E-N. Okay? Now, one other thing. I'm going to get into there it is over there. The context. What is it? Context. There's a rule in place that says if your cell phone rings, how much is it going to cost you? $20 for charity. Now, for the time that I'm going to be working with you, which is the rest of the day and this evening and a little bit tomorrow morning, is we're going to put an additional rule in place. The rule is this, because I've made an observation of this room from last night, sitting in here last night, this morning, and watching you, is that in certain respects, some of the context of some of the people in this room is not tight, but very what? Loose. Now, if you want to run a tight ship, you have to have a tight what? Context. If the ship's got cracks in the hull, it's going to what? Sink. You've got to walk the... So here's the rule. Here's the rule. One of the classic rules, and I have a second book coming out in September. It's how to build a business team that wins. It's called the Code of Honor. What's it called? Code of what? Some of you were familiar with it that were at the Guerrilla Business School. One of the key items in any code that establishes tightness says be on time. Okay? Okay, so what I'm going to say is this, is that when the doors close, the doors close. If you're late, it's $10. Now, this is actually easy. Any of you have ever done Kiyosaki's course? Have you ever done one of his 3-day courses? Anybody done them? How much is it? Yeah, $30. You know why? You know what his philosophy is? I agree with it. He goes, loose minds lose money. The reason people's financials are a mess is because they don't have tight rules or tight discipline. In the book Good to Great, written by Collins. How many of you have read the book? Excellent book. Good to Great. One of the best business books around. Almost as good as Sales Dogs. Not quite as good. Only kidding. Discipline people. Discipline rules. Is what makes a great organization. I see your hand. I'll get to you in a second. Okay, got it? Look, if you need to make a phone call, if the line in the bathroom is too long, no problem. Just pay your money. Look, I have no problem with you being late. Just pay the fine. Just know that if you're late, that's the cost of being late. There's a limited number of bathrooms. We may extend the next break an extra 5 minutes to give you more time, but the bottom line is be on what? If you're an instructor, can you be late? No. But if you're late, Tony Robbins learned this. I hate to pick on him, but he used to keep people waiting for hours. You know what the message is if you're late? You don't respect the group. His numbers went right into the toilet in the beginning. This is a long time ago. Everybody understand, yes? Yes. Don't do that. You got to be on time. Look, you got to make a phone call. You got to do whatever you got to do. No problem. Understand it. It's $10. Look, in the real business world, the government doesn't care, do they? No. Your customers don't care, do they? No. Your participants don't care, do they? You can have 101 reasons. They don't care. Pay the fine. Yeah, well, actually, we're in Canada, okay? Thank you for asking. Okay, everybody okay with that? Yes. Look, and you'll find your little brain, you know what? And what happens is, because here's part of what makes transformation work. I'll just give you one more piece of data, and you can use this one too. Some of you may have seen it before. I think Harv probably uses this. What happens is, if you're trying to be here on time and you can't make it, or what happens, or somebody at the door hits you and says you got to pay a fine, immediately what happens is this. What? The line in the bathroom is too long. I didn't have enough time. I got too many things to do. Blah 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 blah. Or nobody told me. That's what? I blame. It was my office. It's a person in my office. I couldn't get off the phone with them. So it's a person at the office's fault. Okay? This is one of the first Money in You. This is the first Money in You poster would go up. So the issue is, if you want to get people to transform, when you turn up the what? Heat, you want people to stay in the pot. Everybody understand? Yes? Yes. So you don't want people whining and moaning and complaining at the first sign of pressure. Correct? By the way, this is how you run a business. I guarantee you one of the reasons Harv's business works well is because he doesn't tolerate this. How many people figure that? How many people know that about Harv? Because what he demands, as we all do, is that everybody's got to be what? Lloyd, does that look familiar? Okay? Got to be responsible.